Are you a traditional archer that struggles with string pinch or pinching your arrow nock when you go to shoot your bow? I did too for a very long time, and I mean a really long time. So if you got a few minutes to hang around, hopefully I can show you a couple ways that we can fix that. So when you're shooting the bow, and this is just an old 21st century bow, and I've just got a string on it pretty much just for display, so it is in no way, shape, or form a correct brace height for a bow, just for display. So when we're shooting the bow and we've got one finger above and two below, let me see if I can get us in a little bit better focus here. A little bit closer on the arrow here. There we go. Pay attention to the angles here in relation to the arrow nock. So if you've got one finger above and two fingers below, but you put too much tension on the bottom and you don't prioritize the top, watch how this angle gets close and this angle opens up. So we're putting more tension on the bottom with these two fingers, with the middle and the ring finger, and we're not prioritizing as much pressure with the index finger, and this is what happens. That top angle closes in and that bottom angle opens up. Now conversely, if you put too much tension on your top finger and not enough tension on your bottom fingers, that bottom angle is going to close and the top angle is going to open up. But from the majority of people that I talk with, and me as well, it's the index finger that we struggle with getting string pinch. And you end up pushing down on the arrow as well as pinching, your actual finger, and it makes it very hard to get off the string. And so I'm actually just going to leave us in this focus right here for the whole time, because I want to be able to pay attention to this and not so much my ugly mug. So I'll tell you, for years I struggled with this, and not only would let me get my bow set up here. So not only was I struggling with, not allocating enough pressure on my index finger, my body subconsciously knows that these are the two strongest fingers on my body. Not the middle finger and the ring finger, but the middle finger and the index. I mean, to this day, I can get up on a pull-up bar and do pull-ups with just my middle finger and my index, but if I tried to do that with just my middle finger and my ring finger, I would probably rip my fingers out of socket. And my body knows that. It knows that for stability that I need that ring finger not as engaged as much, and I need more on the index. Now, what I was doing, because my pointer finger is so much shorter than my middle finger, I was coming up, and I'm going to lay it this way. Normally I would shoot the bow like this, but pretend that the bow is facing forward towards you. I'm doing this so that you can see my fingers. I would lay my fingers up and prioritize my middle finger. So I would lay my middle finger right on that first joint, and then as I would come down to close in on it, I would lay my index finger down, but because my index finger is so much shorter, let me see if you can get a good view here. Look at where it puts my my pointer finger. I'm all the way up there on the pad of my finger. Now that's just my body physiology. My pointer finger is so much shorter than my middle finger that if I prioritize setting that middle finger on the hook first, I'm always going to end up on the pad of that index finger. Now the issue with that is you don't get a lot of control with the index finger if you're shooting all the way up there on the pad. So we'll wrap this up. I want to be quick with these little videos because I just want to help you guys. What I do now is I come up, and when I go to set my hook, I set my index finger. I'm very intentional with where I set that at. And then as I go to hook, I set that index finger. I want to be squared off with the bow. So like here, to the face of the bow, I want my fingers to be squared. I'm going to come straight back, square on the bow, and I'm going to set that index finger, and then I'm going to kind of just relax and just let the other two fingers just kind of fall. Now what that does is it almost always lines my middle finger still up in the groove, maybe slightly behind it, but I'm still touching the groove. I'm right on the back side of that groove. And then, to be honest, I don't really often pay attention to what the ring finger's doing. It's there for stability, not really for power. So I just kind of let that land, and most of the time if I pay attention to it, it puts that right on the very front of the groove on my middle finger. And so I'll show you essentially what it looks like. It's kind of hard to show you here from this angle, but here, when I prioritize my top finger, this is what I end up looking like on my grip there. I'm barely in front of the groove on the ring finger. I'm right in the groove on my middle finger, or slightly behind it, and then I'm right on the groove in my index finger. And when I tell you this is probably the single biggest thing that made a difference in my shooting, even down to the sound of my bow, because when your index finger is getting pinched that hard, first off, it makes it very hard to get off the string. When this index finger is getting pinched between the string like that, first off, it's pushing the arrow down, it's pinching your finger, and so in order to actually get off the string, it's nearly impossible to come off the string cleanly. And what was happening is that a thwack sound was happening when I would release. And I really, really struggled with my release for years. I mean, I would get back and I'm like, man, I just have so much tension built up in my hand. I feel like I can't release cleanly. And what that came from was relying so much on the weaker finger in my hand, the ring finger, with my middle finger, that I had a lot of tension built up in my hand in an effort to strengthen those two fingers, and I was struggling to get off the release. And so my body knew that that wasn't the correct way to pull, and it wanted to use that index. So what would happen is I would make the string pinch worse, because as I would come back in an effort to get deeper on my index finger, I would subconsciously rotate my hand up. And so not only now I'm getting deeper into the groove of my index finger, because as I rotate up, the groove moves further over into the arrow. But watch what it actually does too. Watch the knock. It pushes the arrow down. As you rotate, all you're doing is getting more pressure down on the arrow. So you want your fingers to be nice and square with the string, square with the face of the bow. Prioritize. Now, if you struggle with your middle finger, prioritize setting that middle finger first. If you struggle with your index, set your index first. For me, in the length of my fingers, I started setting my index first, and that prioritizes my index. It gets my index finger square on the string, so I'm pulling straight back on the string, not at an angle. Let's get me refocused here. And not quite refocused. There we go. I don't even want to edit these videos. This is the whole point. It's just knowledge dumping and trying to make it as quick as possible. That gets my finger straight on the string, and then I really prioritize thinking about that index finger, and it comes back and hits me right there in my cheekbone. And it is so consistent every single time. I'm shooting the way now that I have dreamed of shooting my whole life. The amount of extra control that I have over the bow, my 51-pound bow feels to me now the way that my 43-pound bow felt when I was prioritizing just the bottom two fingers, and was weaker. So I really have a lot of control over the bow now, prioritizing the two strongest fingers in the body. All of my finger pinch is gone. I'm not putting any pressure on the arrow. Huge difference, and my bow is super quiet now because I'm not getting that thwack of my finger being pinched as I come off the string. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have any more questions about it, feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook at the Luke Tabor Experience. If you like this, subscribe and follow, and I'll have some more videos like this coming your way, and I'll see you next time here on the Luke Tabor Experience.